Okay, good. Hi, everybody. This is the interview with Christian on WebGL, and there's two WebGL projects, and so this is the one that's WebGL project number one. And there's several things in the drive folder that it links to, and one of them is this PDF with the instructions that I'm looking at right here. And so what is WebGL? This is actually our second take at the video, so I'm gonna the first time we did it, I asked a bunch of questions, and now I'm just going to give a summary of my understanding. And I think Christian's going to say, yes, that sounds right. Um, the WebGL is doing OpenGL over the web, and so it's delivered through a web browser, and so the world is going towards web delivery, and so this seems like a no-brainer. And yet, at the same time, the performance of WebGL isn't always as good as native GL applications. And so when people are doing simpler graphics, they do it with WebGL, but if they want to have higher performance, then we're still not doing things over the web. And I said more or less that before when we had our first take of the video and asked Christian, do you agree? And Christian said,
Yes.
yes. And so here's the prompt, and the beginning of the prompt says, go take this tutorial on how to do WebGL. So how long do you think it would take for people to go through this tutorial?
You can keep going with the tutorial as you're working with the project because it goes over how to do 3D text.
Okay. But so if someone, so you would recommend doing the tutorial and the project simultaneously?
Yeah, it's the same time.
Okay. And so then another part of the project is, let's see, there's these two PNGs. There's also a tarball, which we've downloaded. And the reason that we had to restart the video is I downloaded the tarball. I found this webgl.html, and I said open, and it gave me this, which is failure. This is not working. And what we realized is on my Mac, which is a pretty old Mac, that with Safari, it doesn't work. But then we learned that this, and this is just the starter code, downloaded tarball, untart it, there's an HTML file, that if I did this with Chrome, that it does work. And so here is the starter code, and it produces an F, and then you see it says drag sliders to translate, rotate, and scale, and so then I can go over here to these sliders, and we're getting different locations, or different camera positions. And so I'm just looking at this project, but this is a Hank-centric project. So the goal is to make this, instead of saying F, to say Hank. Okay. And so if we look at the rest of the Google Drive, this is showing what success looks like. Is that right? This is showing what the student should be trying to generate?
Yeah, this is what I generated, and the other picture is what the student whose project I took, what they rendered last year.
Okay, good.
Which is a little bit simpler, easier to do.
So there's some flexibility in terms of what you actually turn in. But if you turn in something that says F, you'll get an F. And then if you want to change it so that it says my name, or I'm not picky, if it says Christian's name or somebody else, that'd be okay with me too. And so then so that's the goal. And then what do they turn in? They're going to turn in. Was that I think I asked what you turn in. Did we get a new prompt of what they turn in? Is that
no? But they should just turn in the HTML. Because all you need is the HTML, and the resources are the same.
Okay.
You shouldn't have to modify the resources.
Okay, so they should turn in HTML, and part of the tarball that comes is this resources directory that has some JavaScript, and what does CSS stand for again?
Cascading style sheet.
Yeah, and I use it for my amazing looking class web pages. And so I know I've used it before. So there's some JavaScript, and you don't need to modify that. And so really it looks like there's quite a nice prompt here, and you follow the prompt. And the goal is to change this from an F to a name. Is there anything more you'd like to say about the project? Some tips? Some
you should implement a few functions that generate triangles for you rather than hard coding vertices. Because you could do it both ways. The way the tutorial is shows it is you just input vertices that create triangles, and then you form a rectangle. So my recommendation is create a function that creates a rectangle, or like a whole quadrilateral and you just work with that function.
Mm-hmm.
So the functions work with an array of all these vertices, and you can take a look at the code how those vertices look like.
And so if we looked at WebGL.html right now, do we see stuff like this for the F?
Yes, so it says, scroll up here, the function is called set geometry. So that's where you set your vertices, and then set colors is where you set the colors of each vertice.
Got it. And so this is really where the students will live, is
Yeah,
modifying
exactly.
this function. And so it looks like here is where set geometry is called, but not a lot of this is going to need to change.
Yeah,
Is that
no.
right? Okay. And so a lot of this is going to be getting the right geometry.
Mm-hmm. And
Okay.
when I implemented, I had difficulty because the order of the vertices matters.
Mm-hmm.
If it's the front view, it has to be, the vertices have to be displayed in a certain way. Otherwise, you're getting the back view of that triangle.
Okay. Okay, good. Other tips for the students going through this project?
No, I think that's
Okay.
and I'll be like helping out with this project, hosting office hours. So
okay, great. Well, and I think if you want to have office hours, great. I think the other way to do it would be, and what I'd recommend is we just start with Piazza, and then you can try to support on Piazza.
Okay.
So I think if people are struggling, I'd ask you start with a Piazza post, and then it sounds like Christian's willing to monitor Piazza and answer to it. I think that'd be the most efficient for all involved.
Okay.
So, okay. Well, thank you, Christian. Appreciate it. Okay. Bye, everyone.